Right, I think we're live. Okay, good morning, everyone. Um, my name is Arif Mohid, and today is the very first live maths lesson that I'm going to be doing on behalf of Aim High Private Tuition. So, welcome on board. What I want you to do before we make a start is I need to see that first of all, you guys can see me and hear me. So, what I would love for you to do right now is give me a quick like if you can see me and hear me. A quick thumbs up. I'm going to go on my mobile phone to check you can see me. So a quick like, a thumbs up if you can see me, and if you can hear me as well, give me a thumbs up. So I've got one thumbs up there. Brilliant. So first of all, thank you all for coming live and watching. Whether you're watching live or right now, or you're going to be watching on replay, a warm welcome to my very first maths online Facebook stream. So I'm just going to quickly, I'm not being rude, I'm going to quickly check who we've got on. Bear with me, it's the first time I've done this, so I'm going to quickly do a few name calls there. So well done, Taslima, Amino, Fayon, well done for watching, guys. Gabriella, Cairo, Elliot, thanks guys for watching. Now, just to double check, you guys can all hear me again, and for those of you that are slowly coming on, I need you to do me another favor. So if you can hear me, give me what's up, the love heart. Okay, so press the love heart if you can hear me, and if you can see me, press the like button. But my personal favorite is this one. Press the yellow wow button. Okay, if you can hear me and see me, press the wow button. Then I know that you guys are watching and listening at the same time. So let me see where we're up to before I get cracking on. Bear with me, this is the first time, so here we go. I can see myself now. So what we're going to do today is the whole objective of these live lessons on Facebook is to help all your children at home. Because of all the school closures, it's been quite tough. I'm sure it's been tough for you, but also for the kids. And as a teacher, having taught for so long and currently still teaching, I decided, what can I do to help all these young people not miss out? So I decided to do these live sessions every Monday at 11 a.m. So every Monday, I need you guys to tune in, share, like, do whatever you need to do to get as many people watching these, because I want to help as many people as possible. So I'm just going to check a few messages. I'm not being rude, guys. If I go up and down, I'm just checking who can see me. So we got a few more views there. Thank you, Tajmina, Abdul Ghani, Qayyum, Fion again. Thanks for all the waves, guys. Okay. Now remember, my favorite emoji is that wow one. So send that over as well to show me the love, guys, and then we will make a start. Right. So again, if you've just joined us or you're watching on replay, I'm just going to give you a quick introduction for those of you that don't know me. My name is Arif Mohid. I'm a maths teacher. I've been teaching over 10 years, and I'm also the founder of Aim High Private Tuition. We're based in Oldham, and we obviously help so many students from ages 5 to 16. But the whole objective of these live streams is to help as many people as possible. And they'll be taking place every Monday at 11 a.m. up until at least school opens, and then we'll decide what we're going to do after that. Now, before I actually launch this, I was thinking, what age group can I pitch this to? Because it's quite difficult, because there's a lot of children missing out on their education. So I need to pitch it at a level so that as many people as possible can benefit, whether you're in year 4, year 5, year 6, even year 11 to an extent. So I've decided to teach a broad range of topics, so that different abilities and age groups can access them. There will be times when your child or yourself might find it too hard, in which case that's where the parent has to help out a little bit. And if you do find it too easy, then it means that you've already done this, and which is brilliant, but it's not a bad thing to do some recaps. Okay, so before we get started, I'm going to quickly introduce the topic. Today we're going to be looking at fractions. Yep, fractions. I'm going to introduce the topic of fractions, and fractions is one of those topics that, let's face it, everybody hates. So I'm going to try and go right back down to the basics, and we're going to build it up from there. Okay, so again, I'm going to quickly check my phone without being rude, and let's see who we've got watching. So we've got brilliant, we've got a nice team of people watching. Keep watching, guys. We've got a few more new people. So Sultanat Hussein, Tom, well done from watching. I believe from Dubai as well. Brilliant. And Ajuman, Zia, Amino, again, brilliant guys. What I would like you to do is, just so I can get as many people watching and we can kickstart now, just press share and share it to all your contacts and all your friends, and that way, at least, even if I can help one extra person, then I feel like I can sleep well at night. So let's get cracking. So what we're gonna, like I said, what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at some fractions, and these lessons are not limited just to students. Parents, you should definitely be watching, because when was the last time you did some maths? Yeah, probably a very, very long time ago. And let's face it, kids are probably better than you by now. So this is a time to prove yourself. So one of the things that a lot of parents say is, how can I help my child at home? Well, one of the easiest things to do is, you don't need a teacher, you don't need anybody, you don't need anything else but yourself. All you need to do is show that you're interested in them. Let them, you know, when they are doing some work, whether it's schoolwork or this, sit down next to them and take part. Okay, we're going to get cracking now. So you're going to need a piece of pen, you're going to need a piece of pen, you're going to need a pen and a piece of paper. And I'm going to share my screen. So by the way, if you've got any questions as well, write it in the comments, and I'm going to try and respond to them as and when. Let me share my screen first. Again, if you can see this, please give me a thumbs up, because I have no idea what you guys can and can't see. All I can see is my PowerPoint and a little bit of my face. So let me see, we've got, can you see me? Guys, so can I get someone to give me a thumbs up if you can see me? Rajan, give me a thumbs up if you can see me and you can see my slide. Otherwise, I'll be talking to and teaching nobody. Yep. So go on, give me. Was that a thumbs up? Yep. You can see me. Brilliant, guys. So we're gonna get cracking. We're gonna introduce the topic of fractions. I'm gonna try and be quite adventurous and get 4 topics of fractions. And we're gonna first introduce what are fractions, and then we're gonna look at equivalent fractions, cancelling fractions. That doesn't mean getting rid of fractions. That means just simplifying fractions. And then number 4, this is a toughie. We're gonna look at comparing fractions, and then we're gonna finish off with some homework. But don't worry, it's a competition, so you can get a prize if you do really well on it. So here we go. What is a fraction? Oh, well, what is a fraction? Good question. So a fraction is simply part of something. It's part of a whole. So if you imagine, I might do some drawing on here, so get ready. So if you imagine, let me get my pen on. Oops. Right, there we go, we're on. So if you imagine, I know a lot of teachers use pizzas and pies, but I'm not going to use it. I'm going to use a chocolate bar. Chocolate. So if you imagine a chocolate bar, there we go. That's a whole part, that's a full chocolate bar. Now a fraction is simply, if you were to cut this into 2, well, now you've got a fraction there. A fraction is part of a whole one. So one part of it, in this case, if you cut it exactly in half, 1/2 is a fraction. And then this half is also another fraction, and that's another half. So a fraction is simply part of a whole one. Okay, so and there's a special way in which we write fractions. So if we look at this half, we have this part, which is the part that you've cut it into, and this part, which is how the total number of parts. And in math, there's always some really crazy words that they use to mean the same thing. So in math, the top number of a fraction is simply called the numerator. So if you're writing this, if you've got pen and paper, make sure you're writing this down as your notes. So we've got the numerator and the bottom number. Anyone know what the bottom number is? No, it's not terminator, it's the denominator. Denominator. Right, so that's the name of the top number, numerator, and the bottom number is the denominator. Now, one way of remembering it, because it's quite easy to confuse yourself, is the word denominator, the bottom number. Now, D for down, this is how I remember it. D for down, D for denominator. So the number, the down number if you want, is the denominator. So just remember that, and these are some fancy words that you're going to use here and there. Just say top number and bottom number. Okay, now before we move on now, we're going to learn how to write fractions using some diagrams. So here I've got some fractions, and if you were to write down, let me rub all this out so it's not in your way. So if you were to, let me see, we've got any comments. We've got more people watching, brilliant. If you were to write down a fraction from a shaded shape, all you do is just find out what part of the fraction is shaded. All we're going to do is we're going to count how many parts are shaded. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's how much of the fraction, the whole part is shaded. So we write 10 out of, the denominator is what is the total number of parts. If you know, write it down in the comments or you shout it out. So how many parts are there? Altogether, there are 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So this fraction is 10 out of 20. So that's how we write it. And I can hear some of you really clever ones out there saying, well, that's also a half. Yeah, well done. It is a half, but we're going to come to that later on. That's called simplifying fractions. But for now, we're just going to write it as 10 out of 20. In the second one, again, how many parts are shaded? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 out of a total of 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 8 out of 20. So that's how many parts are shaded in this one out of a total of 20. Does that make sense? Let me see if it does. Okay, well done. We got some 20s. Perfect. Now, what we're going to do is I'm just going to give you one to have a go at whilst I read your comments. So I'll give you 20 seconds. Could you have a quick go at this one for me? What fraction is shaded? Write it down in the comments, and then we're going to move on to something called equivalent fractions. So let me see who's watching. Okay, so we've got a few more. Taslima again. Sumaya, well done. Thank you for watching. Abdurrahim, all the way from America. Wow. Monica, thanks for watching. Shakil, thank you. Etia, Efrion, well done for taking part as well. Thank you for Ajuman Zia for taking part as well, guys. I need you guys to respond a lot more. So, you know, we've got some year 3s here watching as well. That's amazing. So that must be Bianamin. Okay. Fantastic. So have you got an answer to that one? This one you should have got how many parts are shaded? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 out of a total of 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. 4 out of 20, yeah? So that's how you write a fraction. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to something a tiny bit harder. So I need you to make sure your brain's fully switched on. Now this is the warm-up done. So we looked at what fractions were, part of a whole one. Now we're going to look at equivalent fractions. So if you put a little title on your piece of paper called equivalent fractions, the spelling's quite tricky in this one, so you might want to copy it down. Equivalent fractions. Okay, and we're going to move on to it now. Equivalent fractions. So here it says, what fraction of the shape is shaded? Well, at the moment, none of it is shaded because I haven't shaded it in yet. So I'm going to shade it in. So here we go. I'm going to shade it in nice and neatly. Oh, that's very neat, isn't it? Tonal shading. I think that's what you call it. There we go. You can see why I'm not an art teacher. I'm too good. Right, I'm too good at art, that's why. Okay, anyway, so that's the part that's shaded. So shout out what part of the fraction is shaded. That's right, 1 out of 4. Or if you want to be posh, 1/4. Now, excuse me. So if I've got, if I want to shade in exactly the same amount of the same amount here, what I would do is I would also shade in this much. So you can clearly see that this fraction here that's shaded in is exactly the same size as this fraction, but this shape has been chopped up into smaller pieces. Okay, so this shape has been chopped up into 4, 8, 12, 16 pieces. However, they're actually exactly the same. The amount of shape that I've colored in is exactly the same. So what you need to do, what you're probably wondering, well, how can that be? Well, this is what we call equivalent fraction. So this fraction here, if I was to write it as a fraction, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 parts that are shaded in. So 4 out of a total of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So 4 out of 16. Now, what I told you is that these fractions are exactly the same. It's odd, isn't it? Because they look completely different, but they're the same. But that's the beauty about equivalent fractions. That's what it is. It's fractions that are exactly the same, but when you look at it, it looks slightly different in this example. So equivalent fractions. What are equivalent fractions? So what I'm going to do is quickly let you write a few notes down, but I'm going to show you how we're going to solve examples using equivalent fractions. So here we go. Equivalent fractions are, first of all, equal in size. We can see that because that size is exactly the same as that. Now, but the numbers on the top and the bottom are different. You can see that because look, the top number and bottom number are the same. And this bit This is what we're going to learn now. To get from one fraction to an equivalent one, all we do is we multiply the top and bottom number by the same number. Now that sounds pretty confusing, doesn't it? Yeah, so I'm going to do an example with you. So here, let's look at a quarter again. So 1/4. To make this an equivalent fraction, all we need to do is we need to times the top and bottom by exactly the same number. So if I've got a quarter here, if I want to make an equivalent fraction, choose a number. Let me see. Just pick a number, an easy number. Maybe a number after 1. Okay, let's see. Let's see what we got. Oh, we got more people watching. Okay, so the number 2. Yeah, well done. Thank you. So we're going to choose the number 2. If I want to say for example, I want to make an equivalent fraction, all I'm going to do is I'm going to times the bottom by 2. 4 times 2 is 8. And then to make it equivalent, as long as I times this top number, numerator, by the same number, I will get an equivalent fraction. Times that by 2. 1 times 2 is 2. So 2/8 is exactly the same as a quarter. They're equivalent. Let's give you another example. So I've got here, let me see. Instead of timesing the first number by 2, let's be adventurous and times it by 3. If I times the bottom number by 3, what's 4 times 3? What is it? 4 times 3? No? Yes, 12. Well done. It's 12. So 4 times 3 is 12. So in order to make that equivalent, I'm going to go back to the first fraction. Because I times the bottom number by 3, what am I going to do to the top number? I'm going to times it by 3 as well. So I'm going to times that by 3. 1 times 3 is 3. So there we have it. All these fractions, 1/4 is exactly the same as 2/8, and that's exactly the same as 3/12. So they're all equivalent, and that's also the same as 4/16, as you can see from the page. So that's what equivalent fractions are. So the main thing you need to remember, guys, is wherever you multiply the top number by, you do the same to the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to give you some practice now. You're going to get some here. I'm going to just quickly rub that out so you can see it, and then you're going to practice some and then pop your answer down below. If you're not sure, I'm going to do the first one for you just to kind of give you a bit of a head start. So for you guys that know exactly what you're doing, have a go. Find the missing boxes. What number should go there if it's equivalent to this? So I'm going to do the first one with you. 1/3 is equal to 8 over something. How do I get from 1 to 8? So these are slightly tricky, these questions. 1 to 8, how did that happen? Well, 1 times by 8. Remember, you can only times going with these, you can't add it. So 1 times 8 is 8. So whatever I do to the top, I must do the same to the bottom. Oh, well done if you said denominator. So I'm going to do exactly the same to the bottom. I times the top by 8, and this is where you need to be awesome with your times tables. 3 times 8. What's 3 times 8, guys? 24. Well done. So that's the first one done for you. If you got 8 out of 24 before I got it, well done, guys. Haven't got the second one, and if you're really brave and if you think you can do the third one, I'll be super impressed. Haven't got the third one, guys. I'm going to give you about 30 seconds whilst I check my phone to see who we've got. Oh, we've got some answers as well. Amazing. Keep answering the questions, guys. You should have a pen and paper. Okay, so we've got Amino. Yep. We've got Nilufa, Shakil. Thanks, guys. There's some good answers coming across here. And, oh, I can wave at people. Let me try that. Just bear with me, guys. I'm going to wave at people who waved at me. Oh, this is awesome. Oh, amazing. It's Facebook. Oh, I've got loads of waves. Okay, brilliant. Okay, guys, hopefully you've had a go at this question. We're doing I'm getting carried away now. Let's get cracking on. So hopefully you've had a chance to answer these. And let's see. To get from 1 to 6, I'm going to go straight this way. To get from 1 to 6, I times it by 6. So I must do the same to the bottom to make it equivalent. What's 5 times 6? 30. Well done. If you got 6 out of 30, give yourself a tick. Well done. Now this one. 2 times by something is 10. What is it? 5. Well done. Times it by 5. 2 times 5 is 10. So now this is where it's tricky. I'm going the opposite direction now. If I was going this way and I times it by 10, what do you think I have to do to go the opposite way? Well done. If you said divide, oh my gosh, you are amazing. Divide it. So you divide it by 5. 5 divided, 35 divided by 5 is equal to 7. If you got that, that's a bonus mark because that was pretty tough. Okay. equivalent fraction, guys. Simple as that. So we've looked at what fraction is, we've looked at what equivalent fractions are. Now we're going to look at cancelling fractions. Actually, that's the posh way of saying simplifying fractions. So we're going to look at that now. So make sure if you've just joined us, guys, grab a pen and a piece of paper, and make sure you're taking part. We're going to look at simplifying fractions. Let's go. We're halfway through. So where have we got here? These look very familiar, don't they? Yep, it was the first ones we did. So we're going to look at simplifying fractions. And now the posh word in maths is called cancelling fractions. For some reason in maths, they always have posh words for everything. So we're going to use both. If you want to use simplifying fractions, go ahead. If you want to use cancelling fractions, I don't mind. Now, this is kind of similar to equivalent fractions, but going the opposite way. Let me see. So here, if you remember, this fraction is written as 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 10 out of a total of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 10 on top, 10 out of 20. So that fraction is 10 out of 20. Now, in order to simplify that, we just need to write it in its simplest form. Some of you mentioned earlier on that, hang on, this is actually half of the shape that's shaded. You're right, well done. It is half the shape that's shaded. But I'm going to show you how you can write that, how you can work that out. Obviously, these are slightly easy examples, but when it gets to harder ones, you can use the same methodology. So 10 out of 20. So what you need to do, oh, I've got some notes here. Let's share these. So, okay, yeah, that's good. You can write some notes down as well. So, so to simplify, let me start from the top. To simplify a fraction by cancelling down, that means to make it into its simplest form. All you need to do is divide, instead of timesing like you did before, you're going to divide the top and bottom by the same number. So we're dividing this time, and then get the fraction as simple as possible. You might have to do it more than once. Let's do this example. 10 out of 20. Some people would say, okay, I know I can half that. So they'll half it, and they half that. So all they did was divided that by 2, and they divided that by 2. So that's done. And they think, no, that's done. That's as simple as it gets. But unfortunately, that's not fully simplified. You can simplify it again. So all you need to do is you need to think really hard. What number goes into 5 and 10? Sorry. Yeah, what number goes into 5 and 10? So think of a number that goes into 5 and 10. What's that number? Well done, 5. So 5 goes into 5 once. So divide it by 5 once. And then 5 goes into 10 how many times? How many? 2. Perfect, well done. So that answer, 10 out of 20, simplifies down to 1/2. If you got that, that's awesome. Now, there is a quicker way of doing this, obviously. In this case, we have to do 2 steps. The best way of doing it is as follows. If we've got 10 out of 20, now you need to think about this. Think of the biggest number that goes into 10 and 20. What's the biggest number, largest number you can think of that goes into 10 and 20? Well done. 10. 10 goes into 10 once. So you've basically divided that by 10. And how many 10s go into 20? That's 2. Boom, you get there straight away. Rather than doing all the intermediate steps, you get there straight to the answer. So the key thing here is think of the biggest number that goes into the top number and the bottom number. Let's get cracking on with one more before you have a go. So here we've got 4, 8 out of 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. 20 is my denominator. Now I could go, I'll half that and half that, divided by 2. I get 4 out of 10. And then I could divide that by 2 again, and I get this. So that's the right answer. However, if you want to be clever about this, think of the biggest number that goes into 8 and 20. What's the biggest number? Yeah, you could have divided by, what is it? What goes into 8 and 20? The biggest number you can think of. 4, well done. If you said 4, amazing. So you could have simply divided that by 4. Divided by 4 is 2, and 20 divided by 4 is equal to 5, and you get straight to the answer. But that's the beauty about maths. It doesn't matter how you get to the answer. You might take the long way or the shortcut, but you can still get to the answer. So if you get that, guys, what I would like you to do is this one where it says you try. You've probably already had a go at this one before I've even told you to do so. So I'm going to give you only 20 seconds on this whilst I check to see who we've got. Okay, so you've got Aklima, Ahyan, Ria, thank you for watching, guys. Dilwa was saying thank you for watching. Hope your kids are watching as well. Talha Zia, year 7 watching. Thank you, Rajan, watching all the way from Altrincham. Yep, we've got, who else have we got? Oh, I found the wave button again. Bear with me. Okay, we've got some answers. Nilufa, the kids are watching. Shahed. Okay, well done. Oh, Talha, that's an amazing thumbs up. How do you get that one? Okay, I'm just gonna, there we go. I'll press like, love, and wow. Okay, guys, so hopefully you've had a go at this. Here we go. So what you should have got in this one, well, there's 4 right at the bottom. 4 out of a total of 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. 4 out of 20. What's the biggest number that goes into both of them? You could have gone in one step, divided it by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. And then 20 divided by 4 is, what is it? 4, 8, 12, 16, 25, 1/5. So these fractions, 4/20 is exactly the same as 1/5. What do we call a fraction when they're exactly the same but look differently? What are they? Begins with E, not elephant. I mean, no, not elephant. Equivalent. It's equivalent. Equivalent fractions are when they're exactly the same but they look different. So what you need to do, if you haven't done so, guys, these are my top tips here. Write these steps down. Simplify a fraction just means cancelling it down. You divide the top number by the bottom. You divide the top and bottom number by the same numbers, and sometimes you need to simplify things a couple of times to get to the final answer. So that's simplifying. If you want a couple more harder ones, I'm going to give you 1 or 2 harder ones because this is an important topic we're going to need for future lessons. So 6 out of 20, how do I simplify that? I'm going to give you some to practice after this one. So what you could do is think of a number that goes into 6 and 20. I'm going to go for 2. Divided by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Then whatever you do to the top, you do to the bottom. 20 divided by 2 is 10. So 6 out of 20 is exactly the same as 3 out of 10. If you got that, well done. So you're going to practice a few more because I need a drink of water. So I'm going to, I've got these 3, guys. On your pen, with your pen and paper, write the answers down. Put it on the chat so I can see it. Okay, so let's see what we've got. So then, year 7. Well done for watching. Fahim, year 4. Thank you for watching. Kef, Alika. Oh, I've not seen you guys for ages. Thank you for watching. Year 7 and year 3. Nahiba says Assalamu alaikum and she's enjoying the session. Thank you very much, Nahiba. It's great having you. Who else? Oh, there's lots of comments. We've got lots of people watching. And guys, if you're going to be watching on replay, you know, a warm welcome to you guys, because I know there's people from different countries going to be watching this. So, are you having a go at this, guys? You're not just watching me. You should be having a go at those 3 questions. Oops. So, I'm going to give you another 10 seconds. I have my sip of water. Okay. Well, someone's calling me Uncle Arif. That makes me sound old, but anyway. Hope you're all enjoying the show. Asan, thanks for watching all the way from London. Basit, Mariam, hello Mariam, thank you for watching. Sabila, thank you for watching. And I think you guys have had enough. So let me simplify. If you want to check your answers, get ready. I'm going to go straight to the answer. I'm going to divide this top number by 6. 6 divided by 6 is 1. 18 divided by 6 is 6, 12, 18, 3. 1/3. Well done. This one, divide top and bottom by 2. Divide top and bottom by 2. And you get 1 out of 6. And the last one, top and bottom divided by 3. If you divide that by 3, you get, not 6, divide it by 3. Let me get my rubber out. Divide that by 3. You get 1. Divide that by 3. What's 12 divided by 3? 3, 6, 9, 12, 4. Good, well done. A quarter. So that's how you simplify fraction, guys. If you got those 3 correct, well done. If you didn't, once I've uploaded this, go back, replay, and watch it again and again and again. So we're gonna move on now. Oh, there's one more. Anyone know the answer to that? Might as well just give you the answer. 1/4, 8, 12, 1/3. Good. So we're on the last part of the lesson today, comparing fractions. So far we've looked at what are fractions. Yeah, fractions are part of a whole one. Equivalent fractions just mean the same fractions, but they look differently. And then cancelling or simplifying fractions is what we just did now, where we write the fraction down into its simplest form. And now this one is a tough one, yeah? So what I want you to do, guys, if your brain is well switched off, or if you've zoned out by now, zone back in and make sure you're paying your 100% attention. This is the hardest one. When I was a student, I found this one so hard. So I'm sure I'm not alone. So if you're watching, guys, make sure your brain's switched on and give your parents a little nudge, because I know they're watching telly now. Get them back online. Okay, comparing fractions. Which fraction is bigger? Now, there's a bit of a problem here. Sometimes when you want to compare a fraction, it's hard to compare it if the denominators, the bottom numbers, don't look the same. So what you need to do is you need to make the bottom numbers look the same. You need to make the denominators look exactly the same. So what we're going to do is, first thing, there's a few steps to this. All you're going to do is first, you look at the bottom numbers or the denominators. So in this case, we've got 3 and 4. We're going to look at the bottom numbers, 3 and 4. And then we're going to think of a number that they will both go into. So think of the number that they will both fit inside, okay? And then we're going to change the fraction so the bottom numbers are the same. In other words, we're going to make it equivalent. And then we're going to compare the top numbers to check which one is big and small. Now that sounds pretty wordy and pretty confusing. The beauty of maths is when you do an example, all the words make sense. So let's get cracking. So first of all, we're going to look at the bottom numbers, 3 and 4. We're going to try and make these equivalent. So think of a number that will go into both of these. Sorry, that they will go into. Let me start again. It helps sometimes if you write your times table out, 3. So for 3 times table, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and so on. You can write a few down. And then write the 4 times table out, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, and so on. You can write them all, but I'm just going to stop there. So think of a number that 3 goes into and 4 goes into. What's the lowest common multiple, that's the posh word, of 3 and 4? Are there any there that are the same? Can you see any numbers that are the same there and there? If you got 12, excellent, well done. 12 is a common multiple, so 12 is a number that they both go into. So what you're going to do now is you write the fraction out with a denominator both go into. So this is now the tricky bit. Are you ready? Once, to be fair, I think that was a tricky bit. So 12 and 12. We need to see, how do I get from 3 all the way up to 12? What number do I times 3 by to get to 12? So you should be thinking 3, 6, 9, 12, 4. So you times the bottom number by 4. And now we're going to do exactly the same to make it equivalent. So we're going to times the top number by 4. We're going to times that by 4. So 2 times 4. What's 2 times 4? Perfect. 8. Now, we've made this first fraction out of 12. Our next job is to make this fraction out of 12. So how do I get from 4? It's going to get quite messy now. How do I get from 4 to 12? How many times does 4 go into 12? 1, 2, 3. 3 times. So I'm going to times it by 3. So 3 times 3 is 9. Okay, so now we've got 2 fractions. We've made these 2 fractions equivalent to these now. So let's have a look. Let's write it nice and neatly. 8 out of 12 or 9 out of 12. So they both got the same denominators. So all we do is see which one is bigger. We check by looking at the top numbers. So we know that clearly 8 is bigger than, no it's not, 9 is bigger than 8. So we can see that the second one, or the second fraction, is actually bigger. So what we will say is 3/4 is bigger. Okay, and if you want to be really fancy, guys, if you want to be really posh, it's a cool sign. You can just write down 9/12 is bigger than, that's bigger than 8/12. Okay, so but anyway, what we're looking at is just this there. We've decided 3/4 is bigger. So I'm going to do a quick recap because this is the hardest one of the four that we've been learning about. To compare fractions, you look at the you first, step one, you look at the bottom numbers. You first check whether they're the same. If they're the same, perfect. If they're not the same, you need to think of a number that they both go into. In our case, they both went into 12. So 3 and 4 both go into 12. And the next part is where we make them equivalent. By time, whatever we times the bottom number by, we need to times the top number by exactly the same one to make it equivalent. Okay, and then the last step is easy, where we just look at the numerators, the top numbers, and see which is bigger. That's it. Now, this one is a tricky one, so you may have to go back, rewind it, and watch it again to make sure that you've got it all. Okay, I'm going to give you one to do before we wrap up. Okay, so if hopefully you've copied this down, I'm going to rub this out actually, because otherwise you won't be able to see it. And now I want you to have a go at this one whilst I have another 30-second break. Let's see who's on. Right, so go back on Facebook. Oh, Mr. Khan, I need to get back into maths. Yep, of course you do. Nahid, Nilufa, thank you for these answers. Shakil, thanks for the answers and the positive support. We've got lots of people watching, guys. Keep on watching, doing an amazing job. If you just joined us, guys, we're just coming to the end, but don't worry, this is gonna be on replay as soon as I've loaded it up onto either my personal Facebook page or on to Aim High Private Tuition, or I'm sure you'll find it through various other people's shares. So just as you guys are working through that, thank you so much for everybody that has tuned in and that will be tuning in, guys. It's been amazing. I've not finished yet, so don't wrap up. I'm not wrapping up. So let's get back to that example we did. Let me get my pen out. So we're going to look at, let me rub all this out. So you've got some space. This is the last example we do before you check your homework competition. So where are we? 4/5 and 2/3. Anyone know what the common denominator is in this one? What is the bottom number? What do they both go into? What do 5 and 3 both go into? 5. So if it helps, write the 5 times table on 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and then write down the 3 times table out. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and boom, look, both go into 15. So you're going to write the denominator as 15, and then, sorry, and then you're going to see, how does 4 go into 15? How many times is, sorry guys, I've got a bit of a cough. How many times does 5 go into 15? That's gonna be 5, 10, 15, that's 3 times. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna times the top number by 3 as well. 4 times 3 is 12. And then I'm gonna do the same to the bottom. How do I get from 3 to 15? Well, I've times it by 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 5. I've times it by 5. So I'm gonna do the same to the top. 2 times by 5 is 10. It's not an add sign there, getting carried away there. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to compare. We're doing step 4. We're going to compare and see which one is bigger. Is 12 over 15 bigger, or is 10 over 15 bigger? Clearly we can see that 12 over 15 is bigger, so we can put that sign in. So the final answer, which one of these two is bigger? Well, 4/5 is bigger. If you got that, amazing job, guys. Like I said, this is probably the hardest one of the 4 topics that we've covered today. So make sure you guys go back when I've uploaded the live replay to check that you can do it, and make sure you've made the notes, because you're ready for it. The next bit is we're going to finish off with a homework competition. So I've got a few tasks for you guys to do, not too many, just one sheet for you to have a go at. So this is how you're going to do this, guys. At home, you're going to be, you're going to make sure you write down section 1, section 2, section 3. You're going to copy the questions out exactly as you see them. And then you're going to write the answer down for each of them. But you must make sure you write the question down. Otherwise, I don't know if you've done it properly or not. So copy the question down later on once, or if you really want, take a screenshot now. If you know how to take a screenshot, I'm sure your parents can show you. Take a screenshot and have a go at these questions at home. And then I'm going to give you a deadline. Today it's Monday, so let's say by Friday, I want you to upload your answers and send them to me, whether it's in a comment, in the comment underneath this live stream, and share your answers with me. And if I'm going to select maybe one. If I'm feeling really lucky, I might select 2 lucky people if they've got everything correct and they've done it super neatly to get a prize. And I'll tell you what the prize is next week, guys. So make sure you have a go at your homework and, you know, we can see how well you've actually learned this. Now, I really hope you have found this really useful. So I'm going to come off this screen now, and you're going to see my big face. Hello, everyone. So I really hope, guys, you found this useful, whether you're a parent or a student or a child or whoever it is that you're watching. And more importantly, I hope that it's managed to, it's created an awareness that this is something that I'm going to be doing every Monday. So I've taken out some time every Monday to make sure that I can help as many people as possible. So please do share, please do like, please do comment, and do whatever you need to do. I'm going to be uploading this for those people that haven't managed to join us because they're at work or they're at school on my page. So please make sure you go back and watch it. Thank you so much. Now, what I'm going to do is, if you've got any questions, I'm going to go back and check. If you've got any questions, please do let me know. I'm going to stay on for another 1 minute to check your questions, and then I will be signing off. So how on earth do I go back to my questions? So if you've got any questions, please do send them in to me right now. So we've got some answers. Okay. Oh, Tajmina, all the way from Jordan. Thank you for supporting an excellent lesson. I'm glad you enjoyed it. So any more comments, guys? If you've got any questions, just type them in as quickly as you can. And also, if there's any feedback, because obviously this is the first time I'm doing this, and it's quite difficult because I'm having to multitask, and I'm not really good at doing that. I can usually do one task at a time. Thank you so much for all those wonderful messages. Oh, Asad, you're an expert on fractions now. That's really good. Samira, thank you guys for watching. Abdullah Al-Mubin joining us as well. Okay, guys, so if you've just about to join, if you just joined us now, we have come to the end of the show. So you can watch it back live on Facebook, on the Aim High private tuition page, or you can watch it on my personal page, or wherever else you can find it. So next week's lesson, what's next week's lesson? Yeah, next week's lesson, we're going to just move on to slightly harder topics in fractions. So today we introduced the basics. We're going to use all that knowledge, and we're going to apply it to something called improper fractions and proper fractions, as well as then moving on to adding fractions, subtracting fractions, and those topics are going to get really hard, and they're going to be useful for anybody, whether in year 5, year 6, year 7, year 8, year 9, year 10, year 11, your granddad age, your grandma age, whatever age you are, it's going to be useful for you guys. So make sure you do watch next week, and make sure you guys do your homework that I've set you. I'm just going to finish off on one question that a lot of parents have been recently asking me, text messaging me as well. So this is one of the questions: how do I make sure my child at home is working at home? Because the school gives them so much work, but they don't do it. So my top tip for you parents, kids don't listen, my top tip for you parents is give them a routine. Now, let's face it, if I was a student, I don't want to be working every single hour of the day. I want to chill out as well. School's closed for a lot of people, I'm just let them enjoy. However, this is the important bit. However, you need to make sure you give them a fixed routine. So if it's if they don't like waking up too early, that's fine. Get them to wake up get them to start their studies at 10 o'clock. So 10 o'clock till say 12 o'clock, you'll say, okay, that's fixed. You're going to do your maths or your English or your science or whatever school has set you. You're going to do that for 2 hours, then give them a break, and then give them another chunk, maybe an hour or something. But the main thing is you make it a routine for them so they know exactly when they're going to be working and how long they're going to be working for. And then eventually they get used to that, and then it becomes a lot easier because they know that's expected. So that's one of the questions that I got asked. I hope that's answered the question. If you've got any more, drop me a line, and I think that's the end. So you've been watching Maths with Arif Mohid, and I'll be back on again every Monday at 11 o'clock. Thank you for watching, and take care, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.